Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to a special Wednesday stream courtesy of my internet provider. Thanks to the internet shutting down yesterday for no apparent reason, we're going to finish pitchers today. First, I'm going to talk about... It's going to be a shorter stream today. We're just doing pitchers, so it should be fun. Hopefully the internet cooperates a little better than it did yesterday, but... some of you have been following me for the better part of a year, and while I haven't done a lot of the OHBL is my online league. I took over the Cubs at the end of 2020. It's been a little bit of a chore, and I'd just like to point out that we are halfway through our final sim before the All-Star break in 2025, and the Cubs are competing for a wild card. We're 6 games above 500 for the first time in my history as the general manager of the OHBL Cubs. I'm going to try to get an OHBL stream out on Friday with like a July, maybe June minor league players of the month. This was the standings coming into this week. I'm going to try to get like a June players of the month out on Friday, as well as I broke down and grabbed a hobby box of Bowman. So we might do a card break that day too. So keep your eye out. I won't be streaming tomorrow. I have some stuff going on. But hopefully Friday we'll get to do an OHBL stream. I'm pretty excited about where the Cubs are going and where they're heading. We'll spend a little bit more time talking about them on Friday though. Let's get right into the pitchers. We're going to just start from number 15 because I don't know how much we got through yesterday. I didn't go back and watch the disaster of a video, but we're just going to go through the starting pitchers, relief pitchers. We've got a little bit of extra time, so we'll bust down through the 34 total pitching qualifiers. As we, finish the pitchers, we'll see where everybody else stands. Once again, sorted by earned run average. For this week, I am thinking about redoing the entire thing over the weekend. We'll see how that goes. Adding some, redoing some calculations for home runs, strikeouts, walks, innings pitched per game, stuff like that, as far as making some adjustments and not just sorting it by earned run average, because I think earned run average is important, but I think innings pitched per game is important as well. Probably inherited runner percentage for the relievers. I just got to figure out how to make it all work again. I kind of went total base, easy for the current presentation, but I kind of want to get a little bit more in depth with the rankings and see if we can't make a little bit more sense of them rather than just ranking by ERA, but we'll see how it goes. Number 15 for this week was Bill Bonham. 69 rated card, still pitching well. Not too much of a split for Bonham. It is a low stamina for Bonham. You can see as a relief pitcher, it looks like he's actually a little bit better. So all-time, he's at 57% start percentage here in Silver, whereas over the last week, in 750 innings pitched or so, he was at a 70% start percentage, so 13% difference. And you can see a pretty significant difference in the earned run average and the ERA. I really think that Bonham is much better used. How about using whip? So the problem I have with whip is that it's pretty defense dependent too, right? So I know that. So I went with FIP for a little bit because it ignores defense, but I don't necessarily think that's the right answer because obviously defense is a part of the game, which is why I went with earned run average for this week because that's the actual end result that we're seeing, right? But I think I probably want to kind of work everything in there because you'll find like there's guys that are at like number 4 in whip that have a terrible earned run average and stuff like that. We'll see how it goes. But Bonham, I think, is much better used out of the bullpen. The reason he's on this list right now is because he hit that 4 innings pitch per game thing. Yeah, and so FIP ERA average was something that I looked at as well. That might be the right answer. And so it might be something super simple like ERA plus FIP divided by 2 or something like that. So we'll see. It's if you hit me up on Discord if you have input on that, because I know I used to do it with like strikeouts per 9 plus walks per 9 plus home runs minus the league average or whatever it was plus ERA times 10. It was a really convoluted, in-depth kind of formula. And so what ended up happening there was something was always getting overcompensated for. Like strikeouts, like if the league average was like a 6 and a guy had an outlier of 10, then he would be number 1 just off of his strikeouts, which was annoying because he wasn't necessarily good over here. So I think the answer is probably something semi-simple, like ERA plus FIP divided by 2 plus innings pitched per game or something like that, because I really want to work this in for the starting pitchers, and then maybe do something different for the relief pitchers too. I also have some plans. I think I'm just going to kind of start from scratch and just do a new presentation this weekend because, well, 1, I enjoy it, and 2, I think I can continue to make it a little bit better. Even on like the hitters, I think I can continue to make it better too. Whip is the most important stat for a pitcher. Think about it. I mean, it's important. What makes you think it's the most important? I would think that end results are the most important. No? I think that, because you can see a dude with like a high whip, but who works around stuff, like especially high stuff guys tend to have, like Bill Bonham tend to have high whips. If they have a low control, they'll let up a lot of walks that'll adjust that, but then they can pitch around it and get out of it. You'd make FIP a little more valuable, maybe 2 or 3 times FIP plus 1 times ERA, just make FIP. Yeah, and that's something that, I agree, Nameless Poet, and that's why I went FIP for a little while, but then we saw some weird stuff with ERA. Are they a Yankee most important? Or just hat size? I don't know if I can get that one in the game. That would be tough. I definitely think runs given up is the most important. And for starting pitching, I think innings pitched per game is somewhere in there too. So I'm gonna figure it out. RBI is the most important pitcher stat. Well, then we'll just go with Jacob deGrom as the number 1 pitcher. Yeah. Or Ohtani, I guess. Ohtani, the number 1 pitcher, which I guess either way, you're not going to be wrong. What is the most important? Wins is the most important. You guys are killing me. Bill Bonham was at 15. It's a 412 FIP, a 414 earned run average over his start performances. Again, on the relief pitching side, I'm not sure where this would rank. We can take a look when we get over to the relief pitchers. But obviously, I think Bonham is slightly better as a relief pitcher. Number 14 was Henry McHenry, 57 stuff, 60 movement. So good movement and very good control for Henry McHenry. He's a top 5 walk suppression guy. Top 10 in whip. And you can see right here, we talk about, whip, the difference between whip being top 10, and then his FIP is a little bit lower. His ERA is good at 4.13, which is good for 14th. This is over a 90% sample size with 6 innings pitched per game. All time, his numbers actually got a little bit worse this time than they have been all time, which all time is a 394, 397 earned run average and FIP. For Henry McHenry, that's a top 7 earned run average all time out of 64 all time qualifiers, which is pretty solid. Especially with the 101 stamina. I know I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I'm not sure when it started cutting out yesterday, but I think Henry McHenry, even though you're seeing a ERA and a FIP that's maybe a little bit outside of your top 10 there, I think he has a lot of value just because he's this really, really good innings eater. He's one of the few guys in silver that is effective and has really good stamina. So I think he's a guy that you can plug in as your 4 or 5 starter and that can eat innings on those tournaments that, those rounds where you go 5, 6, 7 games and maybe save your bullpen just a little bit later on down the line. Henry McHenry comes in at number 14. Number 13 is Dane Dunning, who is 407 earned run average, a 409 FIP. He's the 3rd most used future legend pitcher here. All time, you're looking at a 395, 389 from him. Over 29,000 innings. It was over the 5,000 innings the last week or so. It's been a little bit below that. I think our offense kicked up just a little bit this week for whatever reason. I'm not really sure what the reason is, but he's a top 10 whip guy, top 10 innings pitched per game as well. So not only is he effective, but he eats innings. I think Dane Dunning can be a pretty good addition to your staff. I think he's pretty good out of the bullpen too, because he's got the splits versus righties here that you see, the 86 stuff, 65 movement, 63 control versus righties, which are all a little bit higher than his splits versus lefties, but I think he's effective versus left-handed hitters as well. I guess like the big change down here was like 1% more left-handed hitters and a couple more switch hitting hitters as well, which might be what's affecting Dunning's ERA and FIP here because it was a total of a 4-point change in right-handed hitters over the course of the last, I don't know, couple 100,000 plate appearances for Dane Dunning, and so that might be what's affecting his ERA and FIP and making it come up just a little bit. It's just a few more left-handed hitters, so keep that in mind. If it starts trending more left, Dane Dunning might start losing some of his reliability. So he's 23rd out of 34 in home runs per 9 innings, 17th in walks, and top 10 in strikeouts for Dane Dunning. Number 12, that was right. It was stuck. I did not fix that last night. Tom Glavine at number 11 is, how are they more important? What are we? Fly well. You said whip is definitely important. I agree, whip is important, but yeah, you got strikeouts per walk, ground ball percentage strike. Yeah, I think those are all pretty interesting stats too. I don't know because the more complicated I make the formula, the more likely it is that something is just completely whacked out. And so I don't want to, I kind of want to stay away from that super complicated formula. Dunning's been incredibly disappointing for you recently. I can absolutely see that. How are they? None of those show how many hits a pitcher has given up. And yeah, and so you got hits per 9 innings, which is something I could consider getting in there as well. How is John Urea done? I don't know. I'm not looking at bronze right now. I haven't even entered a bronze tournament since we did bronze. Was that 2 weeks ago? So I know you guys have been talking about Urea on my channel, so keep that up. That's cool. But I haven't looked at bronze in a couple weeks. Hits are, yeah, and the problem with hits is that pitchers don't control them because the defense is so important when it comes to hits too. You'd be interested in a W whip, like the moral equivalent to weight, which would be interesting. I don't know if that's a thing that I could come up with on my own. I'm not that intelligent. 3 stolen bases for 600, drop them. Fair. Yeah, I like simple. Yeah, so FIP includes hits and stuff as well. So FIP is kind of the all-encompassing thing, but I really wanted to get end result in there too. And so I think that what it comes down to is like it's going to have to be some combination of FIP, ERA, and innings pitched per game, rather than making it super duper ridiculously complicated. Glavine comes in at number 11. He's got a little bit of a split towards lefties, a 55% start percentage over the course of the last week or so. 4 innings pitched per game, which might be a little bit deceiving because of the fact that he's only getting a 55% start percentage, right? He does have a pretty good stamina. So I think that he's a guy that as a starter, you may be able, especially a high control starter, you may be able to get a little bit more out of him than a 4.5 innings. I think he's probably closer to a 5.5 inning starting pitcher. The only reason I say that and not higher than that with the 94 stamina is simply because his versus righties is a little bit low, especially the stuff in the movement. There's going to be a lot of balls in play, and he's probably going to have a pretty high whip here as well for Tom Glavine versus the heavy right-handed hitting lineup. So just keep that in mind. I think Glavine can be an effective starting pitcher. I think he might be a little bit more effective out of the bullpen, as you can say about a lot of these guys, but due to the fact that he does have pretty big, significant splits, you're talking 12 points of stuff and 9 points of movement versus lefties, I think that Glavine can actually be a little bit more useful out of the pen, but by no means do I think he's unusable as a starter. But I think he might be a little bit more effective out of the pen for you. So number 10 is Double Duty Radcliffe, another 97 stamina guy. Again, 58% start percentage, dropping 4.2. And so much like Glavine, I think you can probably get a little bit more than that 4.2 out of him as a starter. But that's what we're seeing right now for him. Only 330 innings for him at a 403 earned run average, but his FIP is number 2. Over the course of the last week at 3.64, and he's just outside the top 5 in home run suppression and just outside the top 10 in strikeouts. The walks are a little bit concerning. The whip is going to be a little bit high at 25, but the end results for Double Duty Radcliffe have been pretty solid over the course of the last week, and really all time. He's a top 10 FIP guy all time out of 64, and he's 9th in earned run average all time at 3.96. Keep in mind, this is only 910 innings pitched. And he's been consistently on this list, so I'm a little surprised to not see him getting used as little as he is. I think he's been on the silver list, like within the top 15, really since the day the Negro League cards dropped, and so his results look good. I know his underlying numbers don't look great. The 23rd out of 64 in home runs, 29th out of 64. Whoops. And strikeouts, and 41st in walks are all a little bit behind. Would I recommend buying him? If you have points to spare, I don't know how much he's going for on the auction house right now, but if you really need, again, I think he's more of a number 5-ish, number 4, number 5 starter, kind of an innings eating guy. I don't know how consistent he's going to be, and you can see, like his ERA below 4. I think he's a top 10 guy. I wouldn't call him like a must-have by any stretch of the imagination, but I would also consider him as a valuable piece. Now, I will throw out there, he's got 6 points of stuff, 2 points of movement, and 3 points of control versus righties. So it's not a significant split, but it is a little bit of a split versus righties, which might limit his use as a starting pitcher. But I really do think that as a 4-5 guy, if you're running that rotation, that's always start highest rested, right? You can get more than 4.5 innings out of him, and he might be able to save your bullpen when you're running some of those lower stamina guys that are actually only getting 4.5 to 5 innings as a starting pitcher out there. I think Double Duty Radcliffe can eat some of those innings for you. Number 9 is proven winner Saul Rajavin. Very little splits here. You've got 1 point versus lefties of stuff. You got 2 points of movement versus righties. 2 points of control versus righties. He does have the stamina that's just a little bit lower than those other guys. But because of the zero, the very little splits here, I consider anything below like 4 to be a really, really small, almost non-existent split, which is why like a guy like Radcliffe, who's got 6 points and stuff, is something to consider. Whereas a guy like Rajavin, who's within 1 or 2 points and everything, it's almost a non-existent split for him. Fastball, changeup, a good curveball, a very good curveball, and his 2 secondary pitches here, his fastball and his changeup, are kind of okay. Good stamina. He is a fly ball hitter, and there's not or a fly ball pitcher, and there's still not a lot of power here in silver. So a fly ball pitcher with a good movement, like a 72-74 movement, is probably what's making Saul Rajavin an effective pitcher. And he's been effective for a little while, for a bit. I noticed him 2, maybe 3 silver streams ago. He's top 10 in earned run average and top 10 in FIP right now. 12th in WHIP, just outside of the top 10 in innings pitched per game. Top 10 in home run suppression, and top half in walks. He's not going to strike a ton of guys out, so that's where the WHIP comes in a little bit high at 13.29. Which is right in line with his all-time numbers. But I think the 80 stamina is a little bit lower, but you can see with the 80% start percentage, people are getting about 6 innings pitched per game out of him. So I think he's a guy you can expect quality starts from consistently, especially if you set him like there's a lot of things you can do with Rajavin too. So you can set him to pitch around a little bit because of this control, which is pretty good. Or you can set him to not pitch around as much, and you can get maybe a little bit more out of him, even though he's going to let up a few more home runs without that. Does your innings pitch per game ratio all pitching innings or as a starter only? It is all innings, unfortunately. It's so pulling it out as a starter versus a reliever, it's something I got to work on. I don't know if it's something I'm going to have the capabilities of doing for that particular thing as we wait for Excel to catch up. Rajavin's up to the 5th most used too, so nice to see him getting used. This is a pretty good sample size of 2,800 innings pitched this time. Number 8 is Build a Legend Mike Mussina, and this is a guy that I really think if you're going to use him, I would consider him in the bullpen more than as a starting pitcher. He's above that 4 innings pitched per game mark, but he's at a less than 60% start percentage over the course of this week. And all time, he's just barely above 4 innings pitched per game. He did have a solid week this week with a 393 earned run average, but keep in mind his all-time numbers are 413 with a 398 FIP. So he's top 20 FIP out of 64. And 14th FIP over this week, top 25 ERA. I don't love this card. It's a little bit inconsistent, I think. I don't think it's as consistent as some of the other cards. And I think that it's, again, another one of those cards where with the 6 points of stuff change and the 3 points of movement, I think it's probably going to be a little bit better served out of the bullpen than as a starting pitcher. Sort of all games, sort of high with openers. Yeah, so I didn't want to get. That's why I moved away from start percentage, is because you got a lot of openers who or secondary guys who were recording as followers who were recording at really low start percentages that weren't getting picked up. And so I moved to innings pitched per game probably about a month ago. Would it be about a month ago that I moved to innings pitched per game? You can think of the high volume pitchers and yeah, that's fair. Someone puts their followers as a relief pitcher, you can separate them, but it's far from perfect. Yeah, it's a little tough. So that's why I moved to innings pitched per game and just straight up numbers for you. You've seen it at number 8. Number 7 is live Zach Gallen. This is one we looked at when we were looking at the live card changes yesterday, and we were actually a little bit interested in seeing what Zach Gallen can do. Turns out Zach Gallen did okay. 3.93 ERA over 303 innings pitched over the last 10 days or so. 4.29 FIP for him, a 12.36 WHIP. He's actually third in WHIP over his 300 innings pitched. Small sample size alert on Zach Gallen. I don't think he keeps up these numbers quite this high, but with the 58 stamina, again, you're going to have to put some of those higher stamina guys behind him or fill in with some of those higher stamina guys. But top 5 in strikeouts, 30th in home runs. So home runs are a little bit of an issue. Walks are a little bit of an issue, which is leading to the FIP being a little bit of an issue. 4.29 FIP. People have had pretty solid defenses out there for Zach Gallen. He does throw right, and he does have the reverse split here thanks to fastball, changeup, curveball, cutter combination. It is the reverse split is nice. It's working out for Zach Gallen because he gets a lot of left-handed pitchers up there who he excels against. So you got the guys are going to put their versus righty lineup, which is going to have some left-handed guys in there. And so the reverse splits on Zach Gallen are very, very interesting. And I am definitely interested in seeing more of him if he stays silver. I think I'm going to go ahead and plug him in as my starting pitcher 5 just to try to get some information on him over the next couple of weeks. We'll see if he stays silver. I don't know what he's done in the month of July for Arizona, or if he will stay silver or move back up to gold next month. We'll see. But for now, he's number 7 on our list. Number 6 is Don Robinson, a guy who's been pretty consistent as well, top 5 all time in earned run average, but a guy who has consistently outpitched his FIP. He's 0.2 of a point above his FIP all time and 0.4 of a point almost better than his FIP and ERA over the course of the last 1,158 innings pitched for Don Robinson. He has been pretty consistent, but I think that you definitely want to have a pretty solid defense behind him. He doesn't really excel at anything. He's not a high volume strikeout guy. He's not a super high movement to avoid the home runs, not a super high control to avoid the walks, which is leading to a whip of 13.32. He is number 1 in innings pitched per game, so that's something to keep in mind for you there. Even with the 81 stamina, the fact that he's getting a 90% start percentage is leading to 6.5 innings pitched per game. So you can expect solid quality starts out of Don Robinson. Of 4.6 innings at 4.5 earned run average would be a quality start. So 3 runs or less over 6 innings. You can expect that out of Robinson. Keep you in the games at least, even if, again, his underlying numbers are a little bit underwhelming. The 5.72 strikeouts is 19th, the home runs are 16th, and the walks per 9 are 23rd out of, what do we got, 34 qualifiers over the course of this period, but his ERA has been pretty good. Really have to get better about pulling. I get behind now too, so it's a little bit. It's been a couple weeks for me. I won't lie, but I mean the numbers are kind of right in line with his all-time numbers too. So I like this card. I've been running this card. Obviously not as many people as me like it, and so I think the FIP and the underlying stats are kind of turning people off from it. But I think it's a card that can pitch with the right kind of defense around him. For you, and I'm a little surprised to see the strikeouts as low as they are. It's almost it's a quarter point below what they usually are. So, everything else kind of right in line. The walks, he struggled a little bit with walks this week too. So, Don Robinson at number 6. Number 5 is Cannonball Jackman, who is an absolute control pitcher. Another guy who's outpitching his FIP by almost half a point. So again, keep that in mind. Less than 5 innings pitched per game for him. He's 25th out of 34 in innings pitched per game with a 60% start percentage. People using him as a relief pitcher. And with a 6-point difference in stuff, just a 1-point difference in movement, but a 3-point difference in control. I think that maybe a relief pitcher is good for, but he's got good stamina. He's a neutral pitcher for decent pitches. Very good, very, very good control. 1.92 walks is just outside of the top 5 there. Top 5 in whip for him as well. So a 384 earned run average is what you're seeing out of him over the course of the last week. Again, pretty small sample size at 524 innings pitched. 200 is the cutoff for anybody who's wondering. 414 earned run average and a 412 FIP all time put him 25th and 33rd. So Jackman's one of those guys who, and you can see these numbers are as a relief pitcher. You can see with that 98 stamina, maybe the stuff and movement get to him the third time through the lineup just a little bit. Maybe the atrophy there of stuff and movement over the course of a long performance, even though he's got pretty good stamina, it might be that movement, almost a 1/10 of a home run, like more than 0.05 home runs difference with a 60% start percentage well, actually that's higher. I would have expected that to be a little bit lower. So interesting on Cannonball Jackman. For the less he's in, the more home runs he lets up, the less he strikes out, but the better his ERA is so far. So who knows? His FIP is actually a little bit worse out of the pen as well. So interesting. I don't know that I definitely don't think he needs to be in there. But he's obviously a guy who can put up some results around the right team. You're going to want good defense behind him as well, though. Cole Henry, who is your most used pitcher, comes in at number 4. Very good stuff, very good control. The movement's a little bit lower. This is the kind of pitcher that I would absolutely set to pitch around as much as possible, just to avoid throwing those low movement pitches down the middle of the plate. You can see even with that, he's a top 10 strikeouts guy, a top 5 walk guy, and still 28th out of 34 in home runs. But even though he's 28th out of 34 in home runs, he's third in FIP. Number 1 all time in FIP for Cole Henry. Number 4 in earned run average at 3.77 and a 3.72 earned run average all time. And this is a volume pitcher, 6+ innings pitched per game. 1.157 whip is number 1 this week. 1.166 all time is number 1 for Cole Henry. He is the silver pitcher. This is probably the silver pitcher that if you don't have him, I would recommend going out and getting him if you don't have him already. Just because that stuff with those walks, with the avoid walks, or the walk suppression, I should say, even though he's going to let up a home run every now and then, there's not going to be anybody on base. It's he's a very, very effective pitcher and has been for all of Perfect Team 22. Number 3 is Don Gross. I like Gross much better out of the bullpen in silver. His 68-70 movement, 57 control is pretty okay down in bronze, and I think you can get away with it as a starter. I think that his splits versus righties, versus righties, he's going to get hit a little bit harder. The stamina is pretty low, so just 4.3 innings pitched per game for him. You can see all time he's more of a relief pitcher, 3.28 innings pitched, 44% start percentage. For whatever reason, he got a 60% start percentage bump over the course of the last week, and it worked to the tune of a 377 earned run average, but I think that probably catches up with him long term. I much prefer him out of the bullpen here in silver. You love bronze. Bronze is nice just because they kick off so often, and it's really easy to get data. It's a little bit more difficult to get data here in silver. Page might be silver's page. But those are my feelings on Gross. He's got pretty huge splits. So 12 points of stuff, 9 points of movement, 1 point of control. And again, the little bit, even the 4% trend towards left-handed pitch hitters here might have brought his numbers down, his earned run average down just a little bit. So Gross has been effective, but I think that you can only have so many 30 stamina guys in your rotation. And so especially if you're running like a Cole Henry with a 57, you have to be able to fit some more higher stamina guys in there to keep your bullpen from getting burned out too much, especially since these 30 stamina guys aren't going to go 6 innings in silver the way they can in bronze. And I think Gross is the one who has to be kind of phased out just because of his huge splits here. And that, I really think he can be effective out of the bullpen. Obviously, he has some ability to be an effective pitcher, but I think that he's much better out of the bullpen than he is as a starting pitcher here in silver. Number 2 is Nip Winters, who's a very high stuff, very good movement, 45 control. So walks are a serious issue for Nip Winters. He is 30th out of 34 in walks per 9 innings, but this week, in 259 innings pitched, he let up only 0.35 home runs per 9 innings. Now, that is pretty bad. It was the all-time, obviously, the numbers just don't stack up with what he did this week. I don't love this card for the format. I don't know what it was this week and what somebody figured out with him this week. Somebody smarter than me figured, and openers work too, for sure. I agree, Nameless Poet. And the type bronze 5 bronze tourneys. Yeah, seriously. Bronze is cheap too. Silver gets a little bit expensive. Silver is almost as expensive as gold. People are starting to ignore their versus left-handed pitching lineups. Perhaps, that's a good point. Is that there's not a lot of left-handed pitching here in the format. We talked about it a lot yesterday. Only 3% of our innings pitched by starters by starting pitchers have been left-handed starters. And so Nip Winters, that's a really good point, actually, Mike ABC. So thank you for bringing that up. The fact that people probably are leaning on versus righties, which again is that trend towards switch hitting and lefties here, right? Is a sign that maybe it's time to go reverse meta and get some left-handed pitching in there for a week or so. Because Nip Winters pitched really, really good this week in 259 innings, a 356 FIP, a 369 earner on average, top 10 in strikeouts, top 5 in home run suppression, which is a big deal when you walk the whole planet. But just a 49% start percentage for him too, and which is, so that tells me maybe out of the pen he's a little bit more effective than he is as a starting pitcher too. So it might be a combination of those factors. Maybe Nip Winters is a little anti-meta kind of pitcher right now, with the 73 stuff, 70 movement. And let's see, he's got a little bit of a reverse split here too. Two points of stuff versus righties. The movement's a little bit better versus lefties, and the control's a little better versus lefties. But the reverse split versus righties might be helping him out too, especially out of the bullpen. Because if you get that right-handed starter that's got, well, let me think. You get the left-handed starter that gets the righties in there. You guys know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you'll figure it out. Number 1 is Satchel Paige. You would not advise doing. Guess you need to build a team with all left-handed pitching. I would not do that right now. Well, maybe now's the time to do it for like a day. So Satchel Paige comes in at number 1. I'm not super surprised by this. He's still a very, very good pitcher. If he had like a 35 or 40 stamina, I really think this is maybe as high as an 80 rated card. The screwball gives him that reverse split, so he's a right-handed pitcher. You get the stuff bump versus lefties, and you get a movement bump versus righties, with the control bump versus righties as well. So he's effective against both lefties and righties. He's got a good hold runners to help him pitch with runners on base. So even though his whip isn't super awesome, it's not like a top 5 whip or anything like that, it allows him to pitch really well. And again, his peripheral numbers here, 11th in strikeouts, 10th in home runs, 20th in walks for Satchel Paige, belie the fact that he's a really effective pitcher. He keeps the ball in the ballpark. There's pretty decent defense here in silver. I actually think he's the kind of pitcher that can be slightly more effective here in silver than he actually is in gold, just because there is a pretty significant defense bump. I don't know that I'd call Paige this year's bronzy, because we have to see a relief pitcher who I think is even more like that, but Paige is pretty close. I'll be totally honest. Page is pretty close to being similar to last year's Aussie in that he's very useful. He can be useful in gold. He's very useful in cap tournaments as well, as like a number 2, number 3 starter. I definitely think there are gold pitchers out there that are better than Page. Whereas last year, I think that even that in silver, I think Aussie was the best option in silver. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. Relief pitchers are limited too. I think Page is limited a little bit because of his stamina as well. You're only going to get so much out of him once you get up to guys who, are able to take the walks that you're kind of avoiding down here in in silver and bronze. I think that I think the highest level that Page is really effective at is silver. But again, as a 3 or 4 in cap tournaments, I think Page is really good. Let's go backwards through the rest of them and see what we can find. Yeah, still averaging 5 innings pitched per game. So you're right. I think he's pretty good. Page is probably the best starting pitcher like Ozzy was at short. Yeah, I agree. Nameless Poet. So 16 was Freddie Peralta. And we already talked about him yesterday. 17 was Dustin May, your live Dustin May. Good stuff. Lower movement, high-ish control. Good versus righties. 7 pitch around, and maybe he can be even slightly more effective than he has been so far. 18 was Ray Culp. So May is getting used a ton. He's your 4th most used. So this is another volume guy, 3,100 innings pitched, and still 11th in FIP, 17th in earn run average, which is pretty solid. So, if you discount some of the guys higher on the list who had lower sample sizes, then May probably jumps himself up into the top 10 or 12. As a guy with a 52 stamina, you put a good infield defense behind him, you can probably get some pretty good results out of him. Number 18 is Ray Culp. 1970 snapshot. Again, all these listed by earned run average. Kevin Gross at 1990 snapshot. Kevin Gross. Gross's diamond in Perfect Team 20 was just filthy. Number 20 is live Lance McCullers, who dropped from a 79 to a 76, got 359 innings at a 4.34 earned run average. Barney Wolf at number 21. Very good movement, pretty good control. Put a really good defense behind him, and maybe you can get something good out of him. He's a top 5 FIP guy, is Barney Wolf, even though his earned run average is at number 21. And those numbers right in line with his all-time numbers too. So something to keep in mind there. If you can put a really solid defense behind Barney Wolf, you might be able to get some good results out of him with setting pitch around down just a little bit. Not going to strike anybody out, and the ball's going to be in play for Wolf. Number 22 is Juan Marichal, Build a Legend, who's going to have some home run issues, but not going to walk anybody, going to strike a bunch of guys out. Mixed results for him, 4.38 FIP, 4.38 earned run average. He kind of is what he is at this point. 23 is Chuck Nagy, Build a Legend. 24 is Ben Cantwell, 1931 snapshot. Good movement, very similar to that Barney Wolf card. A little bit better movement, a little bit better control for Ben Cantwell. And this is the kind of pitcher that... again, you see this 375 FIP. This is the kind of guy that if you're running straight up pitching and defense, I think Cantwell can be effective for you. I think it's kind of hard in these tournaments to get a true pitching and defense team because you do need to score runs to win games. I think we can all agree that you can't win games by not scoring any runs. I know it's cliche, but Cantwell's the kind of guy that if you can get a really solid designated hitter and put full defense around him, I think you could get good results out of Ben Cantwell. Whether that's doable here in silver is probably a little bit questionable. There is a huge bump in defense from bronze to silver this year, but I don't think you quite get those elite defensive players until you get up to gold. Which is, when you think about that, like a guy like Cantwell might be a guy who you can get use out of in a cap tournament if you're running those really good gold defensive players. Pache's down here right now, but those really, really solid gold defensive players up there. But can he stop the stolen bases? Probably not. So Nameless Poets team would probably destroy Ben Cantwell. 25 is Sam Streeter. 26 is Earl Francis, which makes me really sad since this is probably entirely my fault. All time, he's at a 5.69 innings pitched per game, but all time he's top 13 in FIP and earned run average, and that's out of 64 again. So that's, top 10% or so, not quite, that was really bad math, but top like 20% or so of starting pitchers for Earl Francis all time. For whatever reason, over 1,400 innings this week, he struggled a bit. 452 earned run average and a 415 FIP for Francis. 27 is Zach Eflin, another high stuff, okay movement, high control guy that you're going to want to set to pitch around. This is a live card, dropped from a 78 to a 76, and numbers are kind of right in line. He's a top 15 FIP guy. Again, another guy that needs some defense around him, though. Number 28 would be Todd Stottlemyre, 97 snapshot. 29 is Dutch Ulrich. 30 is Tim Hudson, build a legend. 31 is Chen-Ming Wang. Pitching and, defense. You're going to want defense with Chen-Ming Wang out there. Guy Bush at number 32. 33 is John Satoris, who I also think is in my rotation, and I'm starting to wonder if starting pitching is why my team has not been great lately. And number 34 is Manny Salvo, as your 34th out of 34, 51st out of 64 all time. Those are your starting pitchers. Really, one, maybe two that I would say you really, really need in your rotation, and a bunch of guys that you can fill in with. The Cole Henry, the Satchel Paige, probably the two that really need to be in your rotation. Dunning's good, May's good. Nagy's has gotten a ton of use, and he's kind of lower, but again, that's kind of a use thing. He's getting high sample size. Rajavin's right up there. There's a lot of options after your 1 and 2 for silver, for your silver starting pitchers. Let's do the relief pitchers, where we had 31 qualifiers. We have 101 all-time qualifiers at this point for relief pitchers. Do I got any numbers on Ryu? Let's check. I have to change the filter just because of the way I do filters here. This might take a second. Or longer than a second. There we go. I do not. Oh, you know what? I'm wondering if he's going to be on the relief pitcher list. Let's get rid of this as well. Let's clear this filter. Let's just clear all the filters, because this way I get all of the pitchers. Hopefully I did it on the right screen. Whoops. Ryu, I think we might see him on their relief pitcher list, but we'll see. It looks like he's below 4 innings pitched per game right now, so we'll see if he shows up on the relief pitcher list, and then maybe we'll look a little bit deeper into what we're seeing out of him. Can I check the new Zach Thompson while we're in there? Yeah, sure. Player of the month, Zach Thompson. 177 innings pitched, 5.71 innings pitched per game, 417 earned run average, and looks like a 373 FIP for Zach Thompson. So an interesting looking card there. 1198 WHIP, which would be pretty solid. Good strikeouts. Walks at 3.25. Solid home run suppression. Let's see if we can find one of those in one of these silver tournaments and take a look at him. Should have had a tournament loaded before we started. Maybe. Zach Thompson, player of the month. That's not the worst looking card I've seen. Let's see, splits. Not much of a split, so 3 points, 2 points, no points in control. 59 stamina is okay. The hold runner's a little bit low, but it's not, modern settings don't have a ton of steals going on, even here in silver. Good fastball, curveball, changeup, cutter. I don't hate the looks of this card. The control's a little bit scary as a starter, I agree, but it's not the worst I've seen out of starting pitching. I think that if you set him to not pitch around, so the thing is, like, you can set him to not pitch around ever, and he's going to still strike guys out and not let up any home runs. So, he'll still walk guys for sure. But if you set that pitch around to never, I think he can be an effective pitcher. That's an interesting card. Let's do the relief pitchers, and then we'll see if we have anybody else we want to take a look at. Barney Schultz comes in at number 15. Very high stuff. Good movement. Okay control. He's 370 earn run average, 380 FIP. So top 13 in FIP. Number 5 in strikeouts out of 31 guys. Top 10 in walks as well somehow. At a 2.83, 54 control. We might see a lot of really low control guys here on the relief pitcher list if Barney Schultz is number 8 in walks per 9 innings. All time, he's got 3.28 walks per 9 innings, and he's 35th in FIP at 386. Again, keep in mind that's out of 101 pitchers all time, so that's not awful. 373 ERA all time. It was a 3, so they're right in line with his all time numbers. Probably top third. I would call him a top third pitcher for sure. With those numbers, and a solid whip of 12.3 has him number 6 over the course of the last week. Number 14 is Oliver Perez, who is a left-handed specialist. If there was ever a left-handed specialist, you're talking 30 points of stuff, 22 points of movement, and 8 points of control. Oliver Perez, specialist against left-handed batters, will get hit probably pretty hard versus righties, which kind of limits his ability to pitch right. Whoa. Just started pouring out. I didn't even know it was going to rain today. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like the rest of the day. We'll see. Almost top 5 in walks. 377 FIP, 366 earned run average for Oliver Perez. Both pretty solid numbers, but actually down from his all-time numbers just a little bit too. So, oh, I must have missed his card ID. Oh well. 77 rated Oliver Perez. Is this a new card? Was this not in here before? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Number 13 is Jordan Romano, who's the opposite. He's a backwards Oliver Perez. 107 stuff versus 92 stuff versus lefties. 65 movement versus 54. Split towards righties, and 4 points of control towards righties. A little bit more stamina here with 25. Maybe a long relief pitcher. Not necessarily has to be a 4-hit 8-inning pitch game. Nice. Interesting. It's just Twitchell's profile. Yeah, perhaps. It's so Romano dropping a 365 earned run average, 419 FIP for him, so 22nd in FIP. 356 ERA, 406 earned FIP all time for Jordan Romano in 460 innings pitched. Again, small sample size alert on Romano, but looks like with the right team, he can be mildly effective if he's all you can find. If you need a cheap live card to fill in your team, again, I have to fix my formulas a little bit. David Hale comes in at number 11. 11th in earned run average, 6th in FIP at 3.53. 3rd in whip for David Hale, 3rd in home runs, and 3rd in walks with a very high movement, very good control. This is an interesting card to me. This is a very interesting card to me. 0.3 home runs per 9 innings, which is right in line with his all-time. The movement's a little bit higher versus righties. The stuff's significantly higher versus righties as well. It's 1 point of control. How would you guys use this guy? I feel like this is a guy you could kind of do whatever you wanted with. He's not going to strike anybody out no matter how much he pitches around. But he's not going to let up home runs in the zone, and he's not going to walk guys if you're pitching him around all the time. This is a super interesting card to me. Yeah, Uray is the one that you've been talking about in Discord. Hoping to at least have a few hundred innings pitched to get a little idea on him. He hasn't been good as pitch for Uray. Yeah. Ground baller as well, and they're going to be weak ground balls. Interesting. This is an interesting looking card to me. I'm going to plug him in and play around with him a little bit. I don't think I have him right now. But we're going to play around with David Hale a little bit and see what I can get out of him this week. You would build an entire bullpen out of Hale? I can see that. No walks, no home runs, solid defense. You're going to want solid defense, but this is a really interesting looking card to me. Number 10 is Jeremy Ficach, who's been a top 10 mainstay for 2 years now. Not quite as effective this season as he was last season. He was pretty close to a top 3, if not top 1 relief pitcher in Perfect Team 21. This year it's down a little bit, and I think what hurts him a little bit is that home runs are a little bit more, power's a little bit more of a thing this season than it was last year. Slight splits versus righties for Ficach. All time he's at a 342 earned run average. This week it was a 342 FIP all time, right in line with his all-time numbers. 72nd out of 100 in strikeouts all time. This week it was 25. Top 15 in home run suppression. Number 1 control pitcher in silver right now. 1.85 walks per 9 innings. Making good, yeah, good right-handed specialist. Agree. It's your bronze bullpen. It's very hit or miss. Interesting. You the David Hale profile being your bronze bullpen, I think would concern me just a little bit, just because there's not a lot of defense in bronze. You get a little bit more defense in silver, so I think that would work a little bit better in silver, but I can see it working in bronze if you put the right team behind. Yeah, Fakach at number 10. Number 9 is Kevin Rogers, who's a good stuff, good movement. Okay control pitcher, similar to a lot of the relief pitchers we see right now. 351 earned run average, 382 FIP. That said, he's a 316 earned run average all time, which is 8th. Again, out of 101. 21st in FIP all time at 3.6 for Kevin Rogers. So continuing to outpitch his FIP just a little bit. 1291 whip is almost top 10. Solid strikeouts, solid home runs at 7.5 and 3.48 walks per 9 innings for Kevin Rogers at number 9. Number 8 is Eddie Guardado, who's a little bit of a left-handed specialist as well. 100 stuff, 81 movement, 55 control versus lefties, versus 86, 71, and 53 versus righties. You threw defense out the window in your zone. Yeah, agreed. And so Guardado has been 13th all time. I think he was in the top 10 the last time we pitched too, but 13th all time out of 100. And keep in mind that the qualifier for the all time numbers is exactly the same. It's 200 innings pitched to qualify all time as well. So there's probably a lot of pitchers in here that have a very, very small sample size compared to guys like Eddie Guardado. So a 13th all time is pretty solid. 8th in earned run average, 15th in FIP for him this week, top 15 in whip, 19th, 17. Again, kind of outpitching his peripheral numbers just a little bit for Guardado as a left-handed specialist. Number 7 is Tom Williamson, who's going to be top 10 in both strikeouts and home run suppression. Number 2 in FIP for Williamson. You're going to want to set him to not ever pitch around. He's going to still strike guys out. He's going to still not allow too many home runs. As you can see here with these numbers. All time, he's, middle of the pack in strikeouts, but still solid home run suppression, top 15 all time in both ERA and FIP. FIP at number 2 for this week at 3.34, 342 earned run average. Tom Williamson continues to be a pretty solid starter. He will walk people, but if you set him to never pitch around, you can hopefully avoid walks becoming too much of an issue for a guy like Williamson. Number 6 is Nate Jones, who looks a little bit more like your prototypical pitcher for silver and below. Solid stuff, pretty good movement for Nate Jones, but a little bit lower than a lot of the relief pitchers, which is where you're going to see this 0.98 home runs per 9 become a little bit of an issue. And solid control for Nate Jones as well. We got a huge series coming up against San Diego. We just moved to day 5 of our sim. We had a day off. Nate Jones at number 6, 339 ERA, 395 FIP, which are right in line with his all-time numbers. 339 ERA is top 20 out of 100 all-time. 365 FIP is pretty solid for Nate Jones as well. Number 5 is Wayne Twitchell. 5th in earned run average, 7th in FIP for Twitchell. All-time, he's actually 4th in earned run average and 5th in FIP. This is just put Wayne Twitchell in your lineup. I don't think we need to say too much more about him. Really good stuff, really good movement, a couple really good pitches, good hold runners, a little bit of stamina too. 22 stamina is almost right up there with your Satchel Paige. Just set him to not ever pitch around, and you can hopefully get the walk numbers under 4 for Twitchell. I think what's happening here is there was a little injection of new players with out of the park go, and so you're seeing some guys who are not setting Wayne Twitchell to never pitch around. Which is where you get these walk numbers from. He's about half a walk higher this week than he has been in the past. So Twitchell at number 5. Yes, I agree. FIP is a good stat. I do like FIP. I am not anti-FIP. Batalico is top 4 in ERA, but 16th in FIP. 327 ERA, 388 FIP for Ricky Batalico. Top 2 in strikeouts. Top 6 in home runs per 9 innings for Ricky Batalico. 30th in walks. He is going to walk guys. He's not a guy who you can... I would be careful setting him to not ever pitch around. just because the movement's a little bit lower, so you may run into some home run issues if you set it all the way down. But you know, you probably gotta set it a little bit, because 6 walks per 9 innings is kind of atrocious. So FIP, all these denials are making you suspicious that I actually don't like FIP. I had a couple of people message me in Discord when I was sorting by FIP, and so that's why I kind of made the change to see how it goes. And when I switched, I was like, "Hey guys, let me know how it goes." I think we may go back to FIP, but it's probably going to be like a 2 times FIP, like somebody said in chat earlier, 2 times FIP, 1 times ERA divided by 3 or whatever average, to try to figure something out there. And so Batalico at number 4. Yeah, I could go super in depth on FIP and how it's calculated, but I'm not gonna do that on the stream right now, because I don't have the brain power to think about it that much. Number 3 is Paul Kilgus, who's number 9, top 10 ERA all time, 317, 351 FIP is top 5 this week, top 10 all time in that as well. Very, very good, very, very effective pitcher. Good stuff. A little bit of a reverse split in stuff, so 3 points of a reverse split in stuff versus righties. 78 movement, 74 movement versus righties. So 4 points of movement versus lefties, and a 66 control versus 63 for Kilgus towards lefties as well. So not quite a specialist. He's a guy who can pitch against lefties and righties and will be pretty solid in home run suppression. Pretty good control here as well this week at 2.64. I mean, top 30 out of 100 all-time in control with good home run suppression as well is pretty good for me. Doesn't strike too many guys out. You know, there's a lot of really high stuff guys here in silver that strike a lot of guys out, like way more so than bronze, which is why Twitchell's such an outlier in bronze. There's not a ton of high 80, 90, 100 stuff guys in bronze, you know, because they become silver. And so even with the 78 and 81 stuff, he's still pretty low on the strikeout totem pole, but 351 FIP, 317 earned run average, and a top 5 whip for Paul Kilgus. All pretty solid numbers over the course of this week. Number 2 is Jabba Chamberlain. We have a new number 1 this week, guys. Jabba's been number 1 consistently, and still number 1 in FIP at 3.33, but a 297 earned run average for Jabba. He's 3rd in strikeouts, top 10 in home run suppression. A little bit of a control issue. Again, set him to not pitch around too much. You can see it's come up about 0.15 or so points here in silver. We'll see if Ellerton's number 1. I don't know. 921 strikeouts all time. He's number 1 in earned run average and number 1 in FIP all time. 285 and 3.12 all time for Jabba Chamberlain. This is him, Twitchell, and Scott Ellerton are really probably the 3 guys I would say. Start your pen with these 3 guys and then build around them. Build whatever you can around them with, you know, maybe it's for catch, maybe it's a 1 lefty, 1 righty specialist. Ellerton, it looks bad because it changes from green to blue, but it's only 2 points a split, so it's almost non-existent. Very good hold runners for Ellerton, top 10 in inherited runner percentage for him. Number 1 in earned run average and number 3 in FIP for him. 2nd in walks and hits per innings pitched, top 5 almost in strikeouts. 14th in home runs and 13th in walks. So pretty consistent across the board for Scott Ellerton. He comes in at number 1. Imagine him as, oh my god, yeah. If this card was a bronze, imagine a bullpen of Ellerton and Twitchell. Goodness gracious, that would be crazy. Let's go backwards. 16 was Build a Legend Casimir. 17 was rookie sensation Bobby Jones. Who, I don't know what's going on there. 18 was Joe Nathan. 19 is Aaron Loop. I do know what's going on there. 20 is Mel Rojas. 21 is Austin Adams. Holy smokes, 159 stuff. Very bad control. Number 1 in strikeouts for Austin Adams. 159 stuff from a silver card. Goodness gracious. 22 is Bill Daly. 23 is Charlie Gassaway. And the reason you're seeing NAs here is because all time they're up above that 4 innings pitched per game, so they're actually on the starter sheet. Trevor Rogers at number 24. Will Harris at 25. John Eriks at 26. Ron Guidry, 27. Drew Pomeranz, 28. Pomeranz, man, is he fun to watch pitching for the Padres right now. Ryu at 29 among relief pitchers, right? So he would be probably a little bit higher among starting pitchers if he had 4 innings pitched per game, but he does not. Only 383 innings pitched right now for Ryu, a 4.49 FIP and a 456 earned run average. Let's check the starting pitchers. Oh, I broke it. Hold on. It's because I took the filters out, so it doesn't know what's going on right now. Go back to equal to inning 100, and let's go over here and go value of build greater than or equal start percentage greater than or equal to 5. Okay, now that should make a little bit more sense. There we go, fixed. So what we're looking for Ryu, we're looking for 4.56, which looks like even still it's going to be like outside of the top 25. So right around 25th for Ryu. So not as effective as we had hoped for Yunjin Ryu. Very good control though, number 2 in walks per 9 innings. Loop has been great for you in silver. Interesting. Where was he? Haley, Adams, Rojas, Loop at 19. A little bit of a left-handed specialist for Loop. You got 12 points of stuff, 13 points of movement, and 6 points of control. So I think if you set him as a left-handed specialist, then he might be able to outpitch these numbers. 377, 308 FIP, 3.44 runs against. That's a pretty big difference there between what I have and what you have. So, yeah, sorry. No, usually I stream on Tuesdays, but yesterday's stream, what's up, Captain? Yesterday's stream got cut short because my neighborhood's internet decided it was not going to work for a couple hours. Yeah, it looks like he, it looks like he could be solid as a left-handed specialist. The problem that you kind of run into with left-handed specialists is that you're looking at, because of the way switch hitters are right now, you're looking at almost 60% right-handed hitters in the format right now. You're looking at almost 70% right-handed hitters because of the fact that there's 20% switch hitters. So it's a little bit more difficult to run a guy like Loop as a left-handed specialist, or like any left-handed specialist is probably going to pitch out just a little bit here in silver. So even though he's going to be effective against lefties, the fact that there's a whole bunch of switch hitters really does skew it right-handed just a little bit. It has skewed a little bit less right-handed for right-handed pitchers because you get the lefties in there now, which it's gone up with right-handed batters, with strict right-handed batters going down almost 4% over the course of the last however long time. It's making the right-handed pitchers struggle just a little bit more. But I think, yeah, you definitely want to have 1 or 2 lefties in your bullpen. You definitely want those left-handed specialists out there. Just keep in mind they're going to be very specialized right now, just because of the way that the format is running right now. You use him as an opener. I can absolutely see him being an opener for Paige Bonham. I think that's an interesting thought there as well. Eric's Rongidri at 27. 28 is Pomeranz. 29 is Ryu. 30 is Raisel Iglesias. This is your live Raisel Iglesias. Good stuff. Very low movement. 32nd out of 31. Again, formula's messed up slightly because it looks at all the lines. And Iglesias, which has the total line in there, is why it thinks that he's 32nd out of 31, which is also why we have a blank 12th position. And 31 is Matthew Boyd. There's probably a 32 here as well. Gene Kropp at 32, which makes me really sad because I really want this card to be set to pitch around and be good, but it's not. It's a terrible card. Gene, the silver Gene Kropp. There's another Kropp out there, isn't there? Is there an iron Gene Kropp? Where there's like an iron. Maybe not. Maybe I'm out of my tree at that point. So those are your relievers. And is there anybody else that you wanted to see? Real quick before we shut this down and say Finally done for the week. I got you guys through the starters and the relievers this week, so you're welcome. I can just I'll empty these filters, and as we're going, I'm gonna open some packs and I'm gonna clear the filters from here, and we can look at whoever you guys want while we open some packs. Or did I hit on everybody that you guys wanted to see? I think we got most of them. What, 300, 400? We're up to 400 total, guys. Mike Sorotka got 1/3 of an inning of work. Did not qualify. Anything on Urias or Slick Castleman? Live Urias had 155 innings pitched at a 50% start percentage, 5.79 ERA is not good. 497 FIP is better, but still not great. 1.5 WHIP, 679 strikeouts, lots of walks, lots of home runs, 1.39 home runs per 9 innings for Urias. And Slick Castleman's the other guy we're looking for. Had 12 innings on Slick Castleman, but it looks good. Sub 3 earned run average and a very, very good FIP. The modifier at minus 0.24 probably puts him at like a 2.75 FIP or so. Sub 0.8 WHIP for Slick Castleman, but again, 12 innings pitched. Let's take a look at that card. Because even in a small sample size, that's interesting. Holy low movement. 26 movement is terrifying. Very good stuff. Very good control. Good fastball slider. You're going to want to set him to pitch around all the time. And he's a little bit of a right-handed specialist. You got 13 points of stuff versus righties and just 2 points of movement. So not straight up right-handed specialist, but he'll strike more righties out. Set him to pitch around all the time, though, for Slick. Yeah, this is a weird card to me. Pretty good stamina. Okay hold runners. He's a fly ball pitcher with really low movement, that's a little bit concerning to me. The fact that if he was like a neutral or a ground ball pitcher, I could see this card getting a little bit more use. But I think in more than like a 12 inning sample size, you're going to start seeing home runs be a really weird. Yeah, you're right. That's like an 8 point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This interesting card. This is an interesting card for sure. You know what? I'm a little bit interested. I don't know if I have that card on this team. Kind of want to get more data. Oh, he's expensive. 4,500. I don't know if you know what? He's gonna be a 4,500 point experiment because we're just gonna open packs with this team anyway. So let's get him added to the silver team and see what happens with the next silver tournament. I will get on that today. I'm readjusting the silver team today, so we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna open some packs now, guys. What do you say? We're gonna open all the packs, all 4 teams. We're gonna be wild and crazy guys today, and open all of our perfect points as packs on all of the teams. What time? 1. Before we do that, I'm gonna go refresh my coffee because I'm out. I'll be back in just a minute for packs. If you have other players that you want to see, let me know. Put it in chat, and I'll be back in like 1 to 2 minutes with a fresh coffee and packs. We are back. The Cubs currently tied with San Diego 5-5 after 6. I can be okay with that. Another pack. All right, ready? Let's do packs. Oh no. Perfect packs are up, guys. Store historical packs. No, we're just doing standard packs. Regular packs. Oh, this is so dumb. Why am I doing this? What's up, Minerva? Thanks for dropping by. It's going well. Oh, bad idea. Bad idea, Jeans. So, the thing about packs is they're dumb. But outside of the tournament teams, all of my Perfect League teams get built through packs. So I don't do anything auction house outside of so this is my silver tournament team. So I buy silver tournament cards off the auction house. Everything else is packs. And so that's where the team comes from. It's from packs that I win in tournaments and packs that I sometimes buy, like I'm doing today, except for the main team. On the main team, I do a lot of auction house, building the team, collections, stuff like that, to build that team, which is why they're playing in, well, they're in gold this week after spending a week in diamond, and once again getting smoked in diamond. But that's where this comes from. And so we've got packs on that team. Our first perfect of the... Holy cow, guys. Well, we're off to a good start. We'll take a Jim Edmonds. Peak. Center field. Historical legend. That's my first historical perfect on stream in, months. 80,000 point card. That is a solid looking card. 83 contact, 96 power, 81 eye, 127 defense. I think he'll play, guys. I think he'll play. That's a fantastic card. We like it. Good start to the day. Nick Castellanos. Here in this pack. We'll check collection missions and see if we have anything to turn in after we're done here. Build a Legend Lucroy. We'll get to turn him in. That'll be another pack. Do I like the drop rates? Not lately. No, they are not. The packs are not goosed for streamers. No, not at all. Jose Martinez plays against lefties in bronze. Mashes against lefties in bronze. I would go so far as to say not very usable versus righties though. McBroom plays a little bit down in iron. Nothing here that gets played too much. Yaxel Rios has been interesting. Not necessarily in a good way. There's a Bo Bichette there. Joey Votto, Reyes Moronta. Defensive replacement, perhaps. On this team, he'll be a starter. This team's terrible. Kyle McGowan, Mickey O'Neill. There's a Panda. Double Clay Holmes. That means something good's coming soon. The random jump number generator is on our side. Double Clay Holmes. Paulo Espino's weird blue background. Wasn't there for actual picture day. Dubon, who's been struggling a little bit for the Giants this year. You can platoon him at DH over Pete Rose. Interesting. Yeah, I could see him being a DH over Rose versus lefties down in bronze. I don't think the bronze Rose is a super special card. Sonny Gray, Luis Brinson, double PJ Higgins. We got two double cards. I'm telling you guys, there's going to be another something big coming up any minute now. Maybe not. Nick Maton. I just picked up his Bowman Prospects card from this year. Juan Pizarro, Santian, Lamont Wade, Jared Oliva, Colton Brewer. There's Pache dropping down from gold to silver. Very, very good silver defensive card. Not a very, very good silver offensive card for Pache. Braylon Marquez, Garcia, Monty Harrison. Interesting defensive sub card in Iron, or in cap tournaments as well. Casey Mize dropped from silver to bronze. We didn't see him. I think he's okay in bronze. Definitely not one of the top 3, but he's okay. You can get away with having Casey Mize in your rotation down in bronze. There's a Bobby Bradley, just got called back up recently for the Cleveland Indians. In fact, he might have been traded recently. Collins, Willie Adames, William Contreras, Phil Bickford. So yeah, I'm trying to get the era tournaments going. So they've got these era tournaments that are 32 team tournaments. There's a DJ Peters. He is mashing for the Cubs right now. In fact, let's check see how the Cubs did. The Cubs pulled it out, guys. An 8-6 win against San Diego. We're 4-0 this week. DJ Peters hit another home run for us in this one. Is that his 20th? Let's see. Guys, I'm so excited about this team right now. Peters with his 19th. He needs one more for 20 home runs this season. We didn't have a 20 home run hitter 2 seasons ago. We've got 5 guys who might hit it this year. Palumbo struggled today. That's one of his worst starts of the season. But rookie DiIulio's pitching well. Pfeffer pitching well. I'm excited. I am excited about this Cubs team. Is cap tournament meta still running like 22 players? I'm not sure. Not that I know of. Mize threw a no-hitter for you yesterday in a bronze best of 7. Nice. Bradley's been doing well for your fantasy team. He has been doing well. You tried silver non-live cap for the first time, got swept. Iron pitchers were lights out, and the real pitchers got rocked. Yeah, it happens. So the ones I'm trying to get running a little bit more are the era tournaments, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a minute. A couple live golds here. Yuck. Mark Payton, John Montague, Nick Mears. Here's a diamond, Kevin Gausman, who's up from he's on my fantasy team. My fantasy team is awful, and so I hit the trade market. I'm getting some pretty decent offers for Gausman right now. I have to go through them today. My fantasy league is dumb. I got back into it after taking a couple years off from them, and I showed up, and I showed back up in Slack, and they're like, "Hey, you want a team back?" I was like, "Not really, but okay." And so I have a really bad team. It's 40-man rosters, 25-man daily active lineups, 35-man minor league prospect rosters, with shuffling back and forth from the minor leagues. We can pull them up and down. There's a Peter Bourgeois, or Borges, I should say. Not any collection missions there. It's just dumb. Weekly head-to-head 6x6. So it's and we use on-base percentage, slugging, home runs, RBIs, runs, and steals, earned run average, whip, quality starts, saves, holds, something else. There's a Dutch Ulrich who we saw today, pretty low on the pitcher list, I believe. I think he was pretty low. Anyway, I don't remember. That was a long time ago. It is. That's so. I totally lost track of it a couple seasons ago, and so they replaced me. And but I was really active in it for like 7 seasons, and so when I came back, they're like automatically they saw me like I didn't even say anything in chat because I picked up Slack because of my online out of the park league, and somebody saw me like go green in chat and was like, "Hey, we had an owner leave. Do you want to come back?" And I'm like, "Oh man, don't do this to me." So I'm back in it. And my team is not very good. We have some good future. We have a good future, though. I think next year or the year after will be pretty good. I have the number 3 pick in this year's draft, so hopefully Marcelo Meyer falls to me, and we can pick him. But I doubt it. I really doubt. Can you show me your bronze team? Sure, why not? There's a Bernansky to close it out. Let's see if we finished any collection missions on here, and then let's get actually start by getting Jim Edmonds. Let's look at this card. The Avoid K's is a little bit concerning. I don't think this is going to be a card that hits really well at higher levels, but this team's an iron, so he'll be useful because right now we're running that's our center field defense right now is Hank Lieber. So we're going to go ahead and take him out and put Jim Edmonds in. You know, Gosman might play on this team. In fact, let's go like this. Ask AI to set up complete team. The AI wanted Gosman on the team, so we'll submit that and see how it goes for them. I'm going to go out here and refresh and go back in. Fred McGriff. I like that quote. I do like that quote. Let's see. Let's make sure that it took, because sometimes if you go across the thing, let's see if we finished any collection missions. All missions, only incomplete, sort by completion percentage. Oh, we did. Oh, they're all those. They're just players. We got a couple standard packs. We'll move on. Let's go to the unicorns. We're going to do the decimals last. So I talked about those tournaments that I want to get going, though. And I'm talking about tournaments like, let's go here, like this one. So gold, historical, 1949, round robin, 32 teams. The problem I see with these tournaments, and I've contacted, I'm in touch with Nicolino about it, is this. I don't think these are going to fill very quickly. And in my experience, they do not fill very quickly because they only have a 2 standard pack rewards. And so I won't say anything else right now, but I'm trying to get these tournaments to fill because I really want to start getting data on these era tournaments, the 1949 stuff, the silver stuff, because you go through all these tournaments, right? We do iron, bronze, silver, gold over the course of the month. And what you notice is that they're all kind of the same. Like the stats, the strategies are all kind of the same. So you look at them and like you can, and while there's a little bit of difference between the 4 of them, you look at a card that works well in bronze and you can kind of go, okay, a card that's similar to that, just higher ratings, will probably work pretty well in silver. And by and large, you're going to be kind of right. Obviously, it's not 100% on that because there are differences in the effectiveness of the cards in silver and bronze and whatnot. But like the 1981, I'd love to get these things going more often so that we can get data on like the 1981 stats and strategy, and you know, do like maybe a 1-off or a 2-off stream each month on these different year tournaments. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to get those kicking off faster. So if you guys join them right now, my main team is in the 32 team gold 1949 tournament, but it took 2.5 days for it to kick off. So a 32 team tournament that takes 2 days to fill. So I don't know what else to do about it. The unicorns are bad. They're also in iron. This is my bronze team. So it doesn't hurt me nearly as much to get to spend my perfect points on this team because it's easier to buy bronze cards. They are in second place right now. So we're going to go ahead and get 46 more packs. This is so dumb, guys. I don't know why we do this. Most 32 team tournaments have rewards for semifinals. I agree. The problem with these specific tournaments is they're 32 team tournaments. They're round robin with single elimination rounds and then a best of 3 finals. So I think what's probably going to need to happen to make the reward structure change and to get them to fill is to make it like best of 3 with a best of 5 finals so that it's and then make it like a 5-pack reward 3 and 1 or whatever. Make it like the almost like the iron rewards. And I think that you might be able to get them to fill at least a little bit faster, but it's gonna be really difficult for me to get data on tournaments that only kick off every 3 days. So they just changed them to double round robin finals like the Open 1927. That's fair. Double round robin 3. We'll start with a 92 rated Walter Johnson on this team. That'll play. Also part of the Adam Wainwright mission. So 2 solid hits so far today. I would love to see those, seeing the lives go back to 16 teams too. Maybe, yeah. I don't do the live so much, but it's it is what it is. I really want to get those historical tournaments kicking off a little bit more often. So I'll show you the one that my gold team's in right now, and it's literally I threw the team in it and I let the AI build a team on Sunday. And I was like, oh, I'll start getting data and then I'll start working on building the team just like I do for everything else. And then it kicked off like an hour ago. So I start entering those for me. Obviously, the silver team will go into the silver ones. I don't know if there's a bronze one. I haven't checked. Just put the standard packs as top prize. Awesome. Thanks, Nicolino. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for stopping by. And there's another Gossman. We've got 2 Gossmans today. He'll pitch on both of those teams. David Bodie, in his last season as a member of the OHBL Cubs, not on the 40-man roster anymore. There's Chuck Hinton. Solid packs today. Unsubmitted name game Chuck. That'll be something we might be able to turn in. Perhaps. Maybe save it for next week. I think I might save the collections for next week. Because I've been building up these perfect points for weeks for these teams, and I just spent it all. Ryan Tepera, Cal Kuntz. You're welcome, guys. There's Austin Hedges, down to a 72 now. Let's see, Max Kepler. We saw him yesterday, I believe, right? With Barnes going up to a gold. An unusable gold. There's a Ryan Mountcastle back down to a 63. Remember that month that he was in iron and mashed? I missed that month. Saw a dude pull a number to 25 Ryan Mountcastle card. There's another historical gold, a Dib Williams, part of Tim Hudson Gold Mission. Corey Snyder. So Corey Snyder is an interesting silver card to me. We talked about him a little bit yesterday. I think I'm getting rid of him, but he's I want that card to be good versus I want to say left-handed pitching. But he has just not been. 22 packs left with this team. You miss Iron Mountcastle? Me too. There's Cannonball Jackman. We talked about him today. He's probably going to play on this team. So yeah, that's our first Negro League pitcher on this team. This team has not had all that much luck in packs. 20 packs left. Joe Carter and a Build-A-Legend Ryan Sandberg. Center field, 1988 Joe Carter, part of the Pedro Guerrero mission. Solid pack there. Kenta Maeda. Charlie Blackmon. Blackmon's hitting some down in iron right now. Kazmir. Not the silver Kazmir. Giants in first place heading into the break. Who would have guessed at the start of this season that the San Francisco Giants and the Boston Red Sox would be in first place at the All-Star break? How crazy is that? I'm pretty happy about both of those. I like the Giants in that National League West. I love the Padres too, though. There's not a team in the National League West that I dislike. I don't like the Dodgers, but I don't hate them the way some people do. But I really like the Giants and the Padres. I think they're really fun teams to watch. I think the Diamondbacks are close, and I would be okay with the Rockies turning into something good eventually too. They make no sense to you. They're so old. Yeah, I don't think they make sense to anybody right now. It's been crazy. Gaussman turning into a Cy Young contender is nuts. There's a Brian Hayes. I'm trying to stock up on his rookie cards right now. See if he turns into something good. 96 Xander Bogaerts. Hopefully he's perfect next month. We're gonna hold on to that card. Bogaerts has been on fire this season and probably opting out after next season, sadly. Hopefully signing a new contract with the Red Sox, but I think he's one of the most underpaid players in the sport right now. Devers, both Red Sox All-Stars, or two of the Red Sox All-Stars here in 3 packs. Shohei might go to a 135 in the next update. Like a double perfect. They should add a double perfect just for Shohei. Dude is something else, guys. Those are the packs for the unicorns. And what do you think? One more team before we hit the decimals? Well, we'll do decimals version 2. I don't even know how much they have. I opened packs with them not too long ago. Just 20,000 points with this team built up over the last couple weeks. They're in bronze too, so they're probably terrible. Probably not doing too well. This is my iron team. Obviously, I haven't been entering iron and bronze tournaments this week. Silver has been taking up my time. Yeah, Alonso made more money in this home run derby than he gets paid this year. It's crazy. 20 packs for decimals version 2. 27 and 35 right now, last place. Got some work to do. Nothing good there. Man, I thought Felix Doubront was gonna be awesome. Boy, did that career flame out fast. Michael Wacha was good for a little while. Well, you know, I'm gonna be honest. We might change the name to that. I like that. I like that. Right now, they're just the Dewey Decimals 2, because I'm not original. There was a Chris Archer there. Jason Foley. 2010 Marco Scutaro for the Red Sox. Right? Yeah, great. I thought Greg Bird was going to be awesome. Even the 2E decimals is an improvement. Oh, I like that too. We'll figure something out. You might have to message me to remind me at some point. Kaz Matsui. I'm so sad that the defense on this card is a 48 this year. The bronze Kaz Matsui last year was so good. I loved that card in bronze tournaments. Don Hood, Kevin Ginkel. Kevin Ginkel down 22 points from a 67 to a 45. Also switched to a relief pitcher. He was a silver last season, if I remember correctly. Not a great season for him. There's a Gary Sanchez. Junior Lake. McBroom. Scudero was great on the A's. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm a little curious on Sawamura too. He's been pitching really well. There's a Hobie Landreth, Frank Browning, Fred Thomas. Double silver, Colton Wong and Blake Snell. I like those. I don't know if we've gotten anything on this one that's going to play for this team. Rollins will be turned in for collection mission. We'll do that next week. Next Tuesday. Or maybe Friday. But I'm planning on being with the OHBL on Friday. So Out of Park 22 will probably be shut down then. Diego Castillo. Used to be a diamond. Brad Brock, Zach Short, Bruce Edwards. 3 more packs. Two more packs. That's an ugly pack. And last pack with decimals 2. Ooh, what about the Dosey decimals? No? That I don't know if that one works. That's it. They'll stay at 27 and 35. All right, last team. We got one more team to open packs with. Currently in 2 golds. We got knocked out of that historical tournament. Second place in that historical tournament, guys. I didn't get into a new one, though. Thought I signed up for another one. This one. We're at 5 standard packs now. So this is the one I'm talking about. Fill these for me. I want data on these. Please start getting into these. I want data. We're starting with the 1949 one. I'm going to collect data on them for a couple weeks. It's probably going to be super small sample size by the time I get to stream. So I'm going to do regular gold, open gold next week. And then I'm hoping in 2 weeks to have at least some sort of a data set on these gold historical round robin 1949 tournaments. We'll see how it goes. Pomeranz got a bad rap in Boston because yeah, Pomeranz was perfectly cromulent in Boston. I think. Should we spend all of these points? I'm just gonna spend all of these points on packs. We'll open what 67. That's gonna make it eventually when the team opens. Oh, you guys didn't see that. Shh, close your eyes. Packs. Get to the packs. 67 packs. With a surprise at the end. That was supposed to be a surprise. Yeah, he was good. I thought he was perfectly fine. Yeah, I saw him pitch in 2017 in Oakland on a really nasty day. It was really hot. It was really gross, and he was not good that day. Shh. It's a surprise. My bad. Jonathan Lucroy, Mike Gardner. 63 packs to go. Josh Bell, Luke Raley. Luzardo's dropped 26 points this season. Tough year for him. Owen Miller, Cole Tucker, Sean Anderson, Tony Walters, Toby Milner, Diamond Walker Bueller. Not a duplicate. That is a Diamond live card that I don't have on this team. Interesting. Thought I had almost all of the live cards on this team, but apparently I was incorrect. Jimmy Wadzill, Joey Votto, Drew Hutchinson, Mayfield. Corey Oswalt gets a little bit of play in bronze. Hasn't been terribly effective lately. Jimmy Cordero, DeGotti, Scott Kazmir,